Well, Thanksgiving has come and gone. We are now in the month of December, which means two things. One, I have my Santa hat on. And two, the playoffs in the NFL are starting to heat up. Let's take an updated look at this playoff picture and go over my picks for this week. What's going on, guys? Steve Support here, back with another video. And I'm actually going to do rapid fire picks. I got my notebook right here, and I also have my laptop because we're going to go over the playoff rankings right now as well. So let me jump right into these picks, and then I'll explain what I'm going to do with the updated playoffs. Okay. Dallas beats Detroit Thursday night. Then Washington goes on the road to beat Minnesota. Seattle goes on the road to beat Atlanta. Cleveland gets a home win over Tennessee. Pittsburgh goes on the road, takes down the Baltimore Ravens. Indianapolis gets a division road win as well against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Miami beats the Jets. Tampa Bay gets a division win over the New Orleans Saints. Cincinnati loses to Buffalo on the road. Denver takes down the Raiders. Green Bay gets the win over Chicago at home. Carolina takes down Arizona. Houston loses on the road to Kansas City. And Philadelphia beats the Chargers. And we have Carolina, New England, the Giants, and the 49ers on a bye. Those are my picks for this week. Now let's go over these playoffs. Alright, we're going to start with the AFC, then I'll work my way to the NFC. And as always, I start with the East Division. So we're going to start with the AFC East, where the New England Patriots are on a bye with a 2.5 game lead over the Buffalo Bills. So the Patriots have 4 games left. The Bills have 5. The Bills play Cincinnati this week. If the Bills lose the game, they are 3 games back of the Patriots with 4 to go, and they play the Patriots later this month. So this is really big for Buffalo. This is about as a must-win as any other game if they want to try to stay within this division. Now, right now, it is the Patriots to lose, and you would think it might take a miracle for the Bills to do it, but if the Bills win the rest of their games and New England drops another game along with their game against Buffalo, it could be anybody's game. But New England is 3-0 in the division. Okay? That is big for New England right now. With them being 3-0 in the division and Buffalo being 2-2, if New England were to beat Buffalo, then they would not only have swept the series, but essentially get the division tiebreaker already. Well, they would already have the tiebreaker, so that wouldn't even matter. But if Buffalo does win against New England, they would need New England to lose another game, and Buffalo can't lose another division game. They just can't. So they would have to beat the Jets, beat the Patriots, and hope the Patriots falter towards the end. I don't know if that's going to happen. We've seen crazier things, but I just don't think so. I think this really is the Patriots' division to lose, and it's not just the division that New England has to worry about. Right now, they have the number 1 seed. Can they keep it? In the AFC North, Baltimore and Pittsburgh are 6-6. Baltimore has the tiebreaker over Pittsburgh, and these two teams play each other this week, and they play each other the final week of the season. Those 2 games could essentially decide the division. Baltimore also has to play Cincinnati. If they sweep the remaining division games, their games against the Packers and the Patriots are essentially meaningless after that because they would have the tiebreaker. And they would have beaten Pittsburgh twice, so that would mean both teams would be 9-8. Baltimore would have the tiebreaker then. So really, those 3 games are very important. But after losing to the Bengals on Thursday night, Cincinnati is right back in this division race. They are only 2 games behind. Joe Burrow is back. And if they beat Buffalo, all bets are off. So this division really is going to come down to who plays their best football in the month of December. Right now I do have Pittsburgh beating Baltimore, but if Baltimore beats Pittsburgh, you would essentially have to say Baltimore has the advantage of controlling their own destiny. Cincinnati, if they win the rest of their games and the Steelers and Ravens falter, we could see it. We could. But Cincinnati has to win the rest of their games, alright? And they can't lose to Baltimore. They just can't, and they can't have a slip-up against the Cleveland Browns on Week 18. Hey, we've seen crazier things happen. And technically the Browns are still in it too. They're only 3 games out, but if they end up winning this division, then something has gone horribly wrong. Moving on to the AFC South, Jacksonville and Indianapolis play each other. Whoever wins that game gets sole possession of first place. And I believe those 2 teams also play each other later this month as well. I believe that. Let me check that. I'm looking at the Jaguars' schedule right now. And yeah, the second to final week. So this week they're in Jacksonville, and then the second to final week, so week 17, they are in Indianapolis. And this could be a case where those two games could decide the division, but hold on, the Texans are right behind these teams, and the Texans do have one more division game, and it's against I believe the Colts. I could be wrong. No, I am completely right. It is the Indianapolis Colts. And after the Chiefs, they have the Cardinals, Raiders, Chargers, and like I said, Indianapolis, their final week. Now, the Chiefs, they desperately do need to win. I'll talk about them later. So, you're in Kansas City. It could be tough to get the win there. But, you know what? The Texans are playing their best football right now. And then you're going on the road to the Chargers. But the Chargers dealt with so many injuries. It's going to be interesting to see what happens if they do clinch a playoff spot and they're out of the division by week 17. Could they decide to rest their guys? That's a decision that could be made by head coach Jim Harbaugh. So, with the Texans, I'm not doubting them for a second. We saw this happen last year. All right, we thought they were down, but they played their best football and they got back to the playoffs. And the Titans right now have the #1 overall pick. They only have one win on the season. I just had to mention that. And they're already eliminated from the playoffs. So are the Raiders. They're 2-10. So those two are kind of fighting for the #1 pick. I know I'm being a little mean on that, but I have to mention that. Meanwhile, you have Kansas City. Kansas City is 6-6 right now. They are 4 games back of the Denver Broncos with 5 to go. Essentially, Kansas City needs to win the rest of their games and hope that both the Broncos and Chargers falter, because they're also 2 games back of the Chargers. And that's just going to be tough because they already lost to both the Broncos and the Chargers. And with Denver, I mean, they're just playing really good football. Okay? They are playing really good football on the defensive side. Offensively, they've been one of the best fourth quarter teams, but they need to start performing better throughout the rest of the game. They can't just falter through 3 quarters and then continue to play great in the fourth quarter. It's worked so far, but it's going to come back to bite them. So if they can get more consistency on offense, I would be comfortable with them going into the playoffs. I do think they are going to win this division, but it's the playoffs that do scare me, because a lot of times when you see teams like that, it's in the playoffs where they can come back to bite them. Look at the Chiefs last year. Last year, they were winning every single one-score game, but once they got to the Super Bowl, the Philadelphia Eagles just blew them out. And that's where we are right now in the AFC. On the NFC side, in the East, Philadelphia is watching their back right now when it comes to Dallas Cowboys. Because of that tie, Dallas is a game and a half behind the Eagles. A game and a half. I did not think that was possible, but the Eagles right now are struggling. They are. They lost their last 2. They can't continue to drop games while Dallas has won 3 straight. They're playing their best football of the season right now. And we saw this happen in 2023, where the Eagles got off to this fantastic start. It looked like they were going to be back in the Super Bowl, and then they faltered towards the end of the season. They don't win the division. They go to the wild card, and they get blown out by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have to avoid that happening again. Okay? Okay? Eagles, get it together. Final month of the season, or else we're going to see a repeat, and then I don't know what I have to say on that. In the NFC North, Chicago and Green Bay are fighting for the division this week. Whoever wins has sole possession of first place. Right now, it's Chicago that also has the #1 seed, but the Packers are right behind them. Because of the tie with the Cowboys, they're only a half a game back. So if they beat the Bears, they have the division lead. Meanwhile, the Lions are fighting for a wildcard spot at the moment. They're still in for the division, but they would need a lot of things to go their way. They've already lost twice to the Packers. They do have the Bears coming up. They've already crushed them. Can they beat them again? We will see on that. But for the Lions, it is a tough schedule to end the season. I mean, a tough one for them. They really would have to win, I would say, at least 3 games to have a realistic shot at making the playoffs. And you have the Cowboys Thursday night, then you travel to the Rams, then you have the Steelers, at the Vikings, at the Bears. So 3 of the last 4 are on the road, and you have the hottest team in the NFC right now with the Dallas Cowboys, maybe the best team in the NFC with the Rams. You have the Steelers at home. Now the Steelers are struggling a little bit, but They always seem to sneak in wins in the month of December. There's a reason why Mike Tomlin's never had a losing record. At the Vikings, division matchup on the road, and then the Bears, division matchup on the road for the team that currently has the #1 seed. This is big right now for the Lions. They are really in danger of missing the playoffs, and they need to get it together right now. Now, we're moving on to the NFC South. Now, Carolina has a bye. This could be big for Tampa Bay if they get the win this week, because then they would have a full game lead over the Carolina Panthers. And after the Panthers took down the Rams, I mean, the Panthers just have all this confidence right now, but they have to be consistent. If they can find consistency in the month of December, they have a realistic shot at swiping this division from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Falcons, they're not out of it completely, but essentially they're 4-8. They're out. They're out. All this is going to rest on what happens with the Buccaneers and the Panthers. These two teams still have to play each other. They still have to play each other twice. They play each other twice in the last 3 weeks of the season. So the first game is in Carolina, the second game is in Tampa Bay. These two games are what's going to decide the division. Okay? That's where we're at with the NFC South. A lot of these games, a lot of these divisions just break it down to who's going to win the matchups. And essentially, that's what you want these divisions to come down to. Who wins the matchups when these two teams play each other? And that's just fun. Meanwhile, in the NFC West, with the Rams losing and the Seahawks winning, the Seahawks and Rams are tied for the division lead. But the Rams beat the Seahawks when those two teams played each other early this year. But hold on. The 49ers are half a game behind both. They're 9-4. They have a bye. These two teams are 9-3. If they both falter this week, if they both lose, we're talking a 3-way tie for the division. Now, I'm going to go over the schedules for all three teams because this is very important. So the Seahawks, they are traveling to Atlanta. I mentioned Atlanta, they're 4-8. But Atlanta, it's been weird. They've had like a quality game once every 3 weeks. It's kind of weird with Atlanta. At times they play up to their potential, and I just don't get it. And then you're at home against the Colts and the Rams, then at the Panthers and at the 49ers. So you have 2 of your final 3 games against division teams, including 1 against the Rams. All right? And right now, you are 2-2 in the division. The Rams are 2-1. They have 3 games left. All right? That's who the Rams have. 3 games left in this division. With their schedule, they're traveling to the Cardinals, so that's one of the division games. Maybe the Cardinals can upset them, maybe they can. I'm not entirely sure. But the Lions at home, at the Seahawks, at the Falcons, and then they're at home against the Cardinals. So, while they do have to play the Seahawks, they still have to play the Cardinals twice. And the Cardinals have struggled pretty much the entire season. And then the 49ers. Now, the 49ers have 1 less game than they do. So they do need things to go their way this week for that 3-way tie. But they have the Titans, at the Colts, the Bears, and at home against the Seahawks. I don't know who has the advantage in this division right now. I really don't. The Rams and the Seahawks look like the 2 best teams in the NFC. And the 49ers just keep on fighting no matter who they have lost this year. This is way too close to call. I'm not even going to try. To make a prediction. And right now with our playoff seeding. So in the AFC, not the NFC, my bad. We have the Patriots, Broncos, Jaguars, and the Ravens 1-4. Now the wild card spots taken up by the Chargers at 5, Colts at 6, the Bills at 7. The Texans are 1 game behind, and meanwhile you have the Steelers and the Chiefs 2 games behind. For the Steelers, essentially, it's going to come down to can they win the division. For the Chiefs, if they lose 1 more game, they're out of it for the division. They lose 2 more games, I think you can say they're done for the playoffs in general. So, for the Chiefs, they have to find a way to win at least 4 or 5 to have a realistic shot at the playoffs. It's going to be tough, but if I know Kansas City, don't knock them down. Meanwhile, I didn't even mention the Dolphins, who are 5-7 right now, that have really gotten it together. If they have a perfect December, they're sitting at 10-7. Maybe they could sneak in if teams falter. I don't know. This is going to be very interesting what happens with the Dolphins. Because, like I said, they are playing good football, and they have a chance to play spoiler to some of these teams, I think. Because, yeah, they have to play the Steelers, they play the Bengals, the Buccaneers, and the Patriots. Those are their last 4 games. They could potentially play spoiler to a few of these teams if they end up knocking them off. I'm just going to say this. Don't be surprised if the Dolphins end up upsetting somebody and that drastically affects the playoff standing. Because we've seen it happen before. In the NFC, the Bears have number 1 seed with the Rams at 2, Eagles at 3, and the Bucks at 4. And in the wild card, Seahawks at 5, Packers at 6, and 49ers at 7. With the Lions at 7 and 5, about a game and a half behind the 49ers. And the Cowboys, like I said, they're creeping up on the Eagles right now. Really, the Lions just need a lot of help if they are going to try to get into the playoffs. For the Bears, they just have to continue to win. All right, there's no other way around it. If they continue to win, they can knock off the Packers this week. You're feeling pretty good about them winning the division and potentially getting the number 1 seed, maybe. For the Rams and the Seahawks, those last few games are going to be critical to them, and the same thing with the 49ers. Like I said, this division race is too close to call in the NFC West. I'm not even comfortable just trying to get who's going to win these divisions. I'm not even comfortable with that, let alone the playoff seedings. I'm not even going to try. The only thing I'm going to say is I think the Patriots get it done, and I'm not even going to say I guarantee that. I'm just going to say I think the Patriots get the AFC East, and that's it. That's all I'm going to say. Guys, this is going to be such a close race. A lot of these spots are going to come down to Week 18 when you have divisional rivals faced off against each other, particularly in the AFC North. That game, Ravens and Steelers, could be the one that decides everything. Everything. Alright. So guys, that was the updated look at the playoff rankings, plus my picks for this week. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Are you confident in your playoff predictions? And who do you think will win the divisions? Alright, I'll see you guys next time.